Oh good, I hit the photo button instead of the record button. Hello, welcome back to 3 Delirium. My name is AJ, and today's video will be part 2 of the many things that I learned in 3D printing in 2020. There's no better way to kick off a new year than recapping on what we learned, the mistakes we made to grow and develop and learn even more. So, without further ado, here's part 2. Number 6 and number 7. So next up, since long before I ever had my own 3D printer, I heard the horror stories of people letting their spools of filament out to the elements. The filament dries out, or even worse, takes in water. Lots of different kinds of filament are hydroscopic, meaning that they just kind of absorb water like a sponge from the air. I don't have any of the worst culprit of this, but I know that PLA, the type of filament that I have, was still doing that as well. So I wanted to try to stick to as few rolls of filament here at my workstation as possible to try to reduce the possibility of water being absorbed in the filament, ruining it over time, etc., etc. So when I first bought a roll of filament, I wanted to make sure I completely use it before I get another roll. But project after project came to realize that if I want to print this thing, I'm going to need more filament before I print it. Do I wait? What do I do? So I got new filament, I got a new box, and still had some of the old left then. So that's why I printed this big ship. I figured it might be a little bigger than I wanted it to be, but that was okay because that meant it would use more filament to just get the filament out so I can start on the new filament, because I only wanted to have one color opened at one time, which is silly. I have quickly come to realize. So I have loads and loads of filament that I bought for Black Friday special from this company in the UK that I do really enjoy and appreciate, Filament. I enjoy their kind of green advertising kick they have. They're kind of natural and more recycler friendly. But also, it allows me to buy a standard size box. So once I have used up the filament inside, I will have multiples of exactly the same size box, exactly the same image, appearance, everything, so I can organize things well on the shelf, and all that kind of stuff satisfies my OCD to an extent. So I enjoy having more than one kind at a time. Now, it was necessary to have more than one for the gift that I got my wife, or printed my wife, for Christmas. So I made her a board game that I found online called Words of Wisdom. The creator, I believe, is called Dutch Mogul, and you can find his a link to this game, if you want the files yourself, down in the description. Actually, I'm going to try my hardest to get every model that I'm showing off today. Put the link to their files in the description as well. I'm going to try. But it kind of necessitates having multiple colors for each of the different game pieces. And I could have tried painting, but like I mentioned before, painting everything we print out is not always going to work very well. So I buckled down, and for Black Friday, I decided to pull the trigger and finally get more than one color of filament at a time. Now, when checking out, they had a wonderful option to include giant resealable plastic bags with your order to put your filament in so it dries. And I finally said yes, because I want to keep my filament as fresh as possible. But in the original packaging, it came with the silica gel that should hopefully help to suck in the moisture into it rather than allowing the moisture to get to the filament. Nice big sachet of it as well. So both of these together, combined with their own box, should do all right to keep my filament nice and dry. But this Words of Wisdom game did come with another lesson that I mentioned earlier already. So I was currently running out of the green filament, and I hadn't quite ordered it. I ordered other colors, but not green. So with only a little bit of filament left, I decided I should rush the green with a really heavy detail, so it wasn't detailed at all. And it left me with a lot worse quality minis than the others. Later on, I ended up getting another roll of the green to help fill out the Black Friday special that they had. Meaning now the game is made with one of the sets of colors being completely less quality than the others. Very noticeable, but at least I didn't waste that green at the time. Maybe? Number 8. Throughout junior high and high school, as well as in life before and after, I have worked a lot with wood. I was in wood shop class in junior high and high school, and I had access to wood and saws and power tools for most of my life. And there's one old adage that I will and can never forget, which is measure twice, cut once. Because once you cut, you can't put the wood back together as easily. Well, I should have known, and did and do know that that adage can pertain to 3D printing as well. Measure twice, print once is something I'm definitely going to be using moving forward. So multiple times. You can kind of follow the colors of the filament that I have here to show the timeline of every time I learned this lesson or failed to learn this lesson. So the purple is actually the first filament that I purchased after getting my 3D printer. And this project, I was attempting to make some tokens I can set on the gaming board when I'm playing Warhammer 40,000, one of the games that I enjoy. And I was attempting to make tokens that I can have in alongside my dice, and the tokens remind me of different things. Maybe a certain model has an ability, I could put a little exclamation mark next to him and remember that ability is currently active, or maybe had a psychic power or something like that. As well as sometimes random things need rolled for the characters, or I can indicate how much damage they've taken or how many wounds they have left or something. So I wanted a little indented token that I could just set next to it, and a die will fit down inside nice and easy to hold it there and prevent it from being knocked around or confused with other dice while they're all flying all over the table and such. So I can't even call it prototyping. I had the model that I made. I did rough measurements and pressed the print button with blind confidence, and clearly some didn't turn out perfect. Some didn't turn out right at all. I kept going and not learning my lesson. So I'm left with many, many tokens that I can just kind of hopefully find a use for. Moving on from there, this I guess I have to downright call prototyping. So I found 2 files online for another gift I was hoping to give. And the 2 files I wanted to use together was a file for this dragon egg, and I wanted to take a baby dragon that would fit inside the egg. So whenever I give it, they can open the egg and baby dragon's inside. It was supposed to be real cute and exciting. But when this file of the dragon was digitally rendered on my software, it would do so using measurements for length and width and height. So it would be a cube around this to show the dimensions. But if you can't help but notice, this dragon is not a perfect cube, so I didn't necessarily know how to check its measurements with the egg. All I can see when I make the egg file is what the external dimensions are. I would have had to print an egg out, measure the thickness of the wall, take that back to the program, try to fix it, try to compare that to the digital file of the dragon, try to print the new egg with those dimensions, and, well, it could have turned into a lot bigger of a process than I expected. So I kind of bit the bullet, and I finally just decided to actually prototype. So I started just printing shells, And ironically, this little ring that fits down inside that helps to attach the top to the bottom didn't exactly fit in the egg that I had. So even it took a bit of prototyping within its own file. So I kind of relegated myself to being okay with prototyping. Although now I have finished eggs. I've already sent off the final product that I made for a friend of mine. But I'm left with unfinished rings, unused eggshells. They're cute. They're looking really nice. I don't mind having a dragon egg on my crafting display table here. But every time you print something new, there's always a chance for mistakes. So, yeah, prototyping isn't always a bad thing. But measuring twice, printing once is something I need to live by. Time for 9. For Christmas this year, I was trying to think of 3D printing gifts I could give, especially since most of my gift giving will involve mailing or posting my gifts to the recipients. I liked the idea of 3D printing my gift and then sending it. A homemade gift can sometimes feel more genuine. So early on with my YouTube video making, I needed a stand for my phone to hold my phone so it stays steady and takes better pictures of prints and etc. So I printed this quick phone holder that kind of collapses and you can fit it in your pocket and go anywhere with it. After printing it, I realized that this is fantastic. I never really thought I would need a phone holder. I can hold it up or prop it against things until I actually had a phone holder. And it's kind of made many aspects of my life much easier. If I'm cooking, I can easily hold the recipe on my phone up at a readable position. It can easily be used portrait and landscape with the phone. They can use multiple angles right down to an almost flat phone, but still just enough of a tilt to see maybe while I'm standing and the phone is on the table. So when I sent my family back in the US a big box of gifts, I included a bunch of these phone holders and larger tablet holders as well. But I also did not include an explanation or a description or why I am appreciative of the phone holders there, and I believe it was a bit of a miss whenever they first arrived. So I would definitely want to make sure that I am talking about and describing how I feel about the gifts that I'm given, as well as the dragons I gave earlier. It takes a bit of knowing the process to appreciate the process of making something like this. I would love it to be just one click from the internet, one click on the software, and one click to print, and have something repeated every time. But I would say maybe the biggest thing I've learned from 3D printing is it takes patience and understanding to get any print to get remotely done. Number 10. Just like I mentioned with the phone holders, holding my phone steady and trying to use it for taking pictures, taking video, I was looking for many solutions to solve how to do that. And one of them was a completely 3D printed phone holder with a screwing mechanism and incorporated springs to allow the whole thing to give a little bit to not hurt your phone or be a little softer. Along with an attachment to put it on, an attachment for a tripod. Yes, I need an attachment for an attachment for this, but it's made in the very back is a place for a 1/4 inch nut, because tripod stands, the little screw on the top of a tripod, is a 1/4 inch. I currently live in the Republic of Ireland, which uses metric for everything. So in the small town hardware stores that I have nearby, 1/4 inch doesn't exist. So I could spend money on shipping, money on more than just one nut to buy them from Amazon, or I could try to 3D print a 1/4 inch nut that fits right inside there. Now I knew that printing a plastic nut to hold onto the metal screw of the tripod stand wouldn't necessarily work, so I was attempting to be as delicate with it as I could be. I know that the tougher metal would impact and destroy the soft plastic, so I've been walking on eggshells with it. So, well, as much as I could be. But when using it, different parts would kind of be wobbly and floppy, and as I'm moving it around, I think, oh, if I just give it a little, tighten a little bit, tighten a little bit more, tighten a little bit more, tighten a little bit more, and yeah, I've stripped the threads right out of the nut very quickly. I knew this was an issue that would happen, but it happened anyway. So that's another lesson learned. The right tool for the right job. And this has been the 10 biggest 3D printing lessons that I've picked up in 2020. I'm going to link every single model that I found in the description down below so you can see them for yourself and try them out as well. Although, I'm not quite done because there is one more lesson that I knew before I had a printer, I knew while I was using the printer for the first time, and I still know right now that I keep making the same mistake. The bonus one that comes after 10 is probably 11. Just yesterday, I was attempting to print just the simple base for those ogres that I mentioned earlier. Simple yellow disc. I hit print and walked away. I did not watch the print happen, even if it only lasted for 23 minutes. I thought that would be plenty of time. I walked away, and the print failed. The base itself moved around, and just this big ooze of plastic I found in its place. Watching my print as it's printing, the single most important thing in 3D printing. I need to make sure that the bed has plenty of adhesion, and I need to watch the print. I made this mistake just yesterday. I'm still learning. We're all still learning. But thank you for joining me here at 3 Delirium during 2020. We look forward to seeing you in 2021. If you would like to stay up to date on the things we're posting, you could consider subscribing to the channel. We have links as well to our Instagram and Patreon pages if you'd like those as well. From all of us here at 3 Delirium, thank you for joining us in hallucinating about the possibilities of 3D printing in 2020 and coming up in 2021 and beyond. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.